Morning. Not sure where everybody is. I don't know if, did everybody know that it was going to today? I'm assuming, maybe?
Ignite, yeah.
Yeah,
So are you doing it with me? Are you moderating? What are you doing?
I'm just acting as a moderator. They just said that they need somebody to moderate, so I was gonna do the first hour, and then I think Jess was gonna hop in for an hour or so, so we're gonna rotate through.
Okay, all right. Hi,
Yeah.
Frank.
Oh, so he dropped. I'm not sure where everybody else is. They didn't have the Ignite meeting for today either. I had to actually resave it from yesterday to today, so hopefully
Yeah.
people know.
So it wasn't there, and then every time I clicked on it, it would start and then cancel out. So
Oh, okay.
let's see what happens.
All right.
Hi,
So we got
Kevin.
Good morning. For a second, I thought I was not in Ignite.
Oh, no.
Yeah. We're just talking technical things here, so we're not sure where everyone is, and we'll see what happens.
Gotcha.
Kevin, how's your day going so far?
My day's going very well. Being productive, so I cannot complain.
That's very, very good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Is this the last day for Ignite?
I believe it should be. Yes.
Okay. I'm wondering what the turnout's going to be because I put all the dates onto my calendar,
Mhm.
and for some reason the 30th or the 31st today isn't filled in. But I remember on the last session yesterday, they said that was not the last day. So I made a mental note to tune in.
Oh,
But
really?
I'm wondering if there are any other colleagues I have that believe yesterday was the last day.
Yeah. We didn't see Ignite Zoom link for today either, so we might have a,
Okay, what's the topic for today?
powerful language gets results.
So this is the makeup from the one that was postponed during the New England regional session that we had. So,
I was gonna say, 'cause it's out of order if this is the last one.
yeah.
All right, well. Let's see what happens here, Kevin.
Let's see what happens.
You may get your morning back.
Let's see. See how it goes.
Do you have a camera you can turn on?
Yeah, just give me a minute here to set up. Excuse me.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Jess.
Jess.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, hi, Kevin. I'm Kate Houlihan. I'm the team leader here at Keller Williams Legacy Partners. Nice to meet you.
Great to meet you as well.
How long have you been?
I've been licensed since the 15th of January, and I've been with KW Elite, I think, since December. So I actually got onto KW before I was licensed. Just learning what I can.
Great.
And it's been fun so far. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Looking good.
Hi, Jeff.
Morning, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, thanks.
You have a camera you can turn on for us?
I can turn it on, and yeah, I don't mind, but the thing is my Wi-Fi has been like very bad, and when I turn it on, it tends to like kick me out of the meeting. So I can do it,
Okay.
but
That's
yeah.
okay then. So just tell us a little bit about you, Jack. I'm Kate Houlihan. I'm the team leader here at Legacy
Hi.
Partners.
So I'm working out of Chestnut Hill, just west of Boston,
Okay.
Market Center 930, I believe. And I'm just started. I'm about a month in now. And I'm 23 years old, from the area.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to KW and welcome to real estate.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
This has been super helpful for me. Ignite and everything's just, and all the resources have been super helpful to get me started.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we think there may have been some miscommunication about this class.
Yeah. Well, on the schedule, it's not on like the schedule, because I think it ends at the 30th. And then also when I tried to sign in at like 8:58 or something like that, it didn't allow me to join the meeting. It said like this host is in another meeting or something.
Right.
So I don't know if that's why there's a good be a delay with people there.
Well, we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do here shortly.
All right, sounds good.
And so Jess and Darren, you want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Jess Giordano. I am Kate's executive assistant. And we are from KW Legacy Partners in Connecticut. And Darren probably jumped off because he was just on until I could get on. So
So can you guys see my screen, the Ignite screen? the share?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okey-dokey. So I think Jess, you've heard the potential issue we had here.
I think Nicole had said that a class had to be canceled or something. So they had to, this was like a makeup class and there was
Yeah.
some confusion, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. So Jack and Kevin. Which is really, I like those two names. I'll tell you why. So Kevin is the name of my daughter's best friend. They're close to 30 and he was man of honor at her wedding in September. And the guy she married's name is Jack. So I'll remember your names very easily.
Excellent.
So two great strong names. So Eric. Hi, Eric. You're muted. Can you hear us?
I can now, yep.
All right. Do you have video you can turn on?
Yeah, let me get things kind of straightened up here real quick.
Absolutely.
I don't suppose there was another groomsman named Eric, was there?
There wasn't.
Okay, I was going for the 3 for 3.
No. That would have been something, right?
Yeah, that would have been a bingo at the very least.
Yeah. Kevin, what did you do before real estate?
What do I currently do while I do real estate? Is
Perfect.
actually I'm a project coordinator at a telecommunications company.
Awesome.
Been doing that for maybe like about 8 months now. Time's kind of flying by.
Yeah.
It allows me to juggle both at the same time. So I feel like it's a blessing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jack, how about you?
So I graduated in 2020 And I work, my parents build and sell houses. So I've been working for them and continue to work with them.
Great.
Yeah, so they just, it's a very small business. It's 4 guys and we build and sell spec houses like 1 a year these days because my dad's getting a little older.
Well, you might want to try get him support because I think there's a lot of need for those houses right now, so that they would probably go quickly. So maybe you need to help him do that.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, Eric,
Hello,
good morning.
morning.
So how long you been in real estate?
Well, I've been licensed for about 2 months. I've been real estate adjacent for a few years. I actually finished my classwork in 2019, and then COVID hit, and I kind of sat that out, and just attended lots and lots and lots and lots of market center Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
And then kind of went and took the test right before Christmas, and then signed on with the brokerage right at the beginning of March.
Oh, congratulations and welcome
Thank
to
you.
KW.
Thank you, thank you. No, KW was the most thoroughly thought out decision I've probably ever made. I probably went to about 100 open houses, spoke to more than 100 agents. I was looking for a house, and so I kind of double dipped. I would go to an open house to look at the house, and then I grill the agent about their brokerage. And so, you know, it really just everything kind of all signs pointed to Keller Williams. Even people who weren't with Keller Williams said that, that if they asked me, what's your most important thing, I always came back to education. As a new agent, I don't know what I don't know, and so I need to know what I don't know. And
Right.
so even people who weren't affiliated with Keller Williams said you should go to Keller Williams. So and then literally every single person to the man or woman that I met that was with Keller Williams, nobody was anything less than elated to be where they were. I honestly have never seen anything like it. I mean, I thought surely out of as many people as I talked to, there would be one that was like, it's a drag, that you drink the Kool-Aid, blah, blah, blah. No, not a single person. Everybody just had glowing remarks.
That's what we like to hear. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, as
So
a new agent, that spoke volumes to me. So,
Prior, or are you still doing something in addition to real estate or prior to what?
I'm not doing anything in addition to. I left my previous job to be able to have a more equitable home work balance. I've got a toddler, and so when I left my previous job, he was still a baby, and I was seeing him about a half hour a day, and that wasn't okay with me. And so I left my previous position. I worked for a tech company. I was a sales manager, and like I said, then I ended up taking a little bit of time just to be a stay-at-home dad. By the time I decided, well, let's go to it, then COVID came around, so I got a little more stay-at-home than I bargained for. But I love every minute of it. So
Memories
Yep.
that you're building.
Absolutely.
All right. So we had some confusion with today's class, and we have 3 of you. So we are going to do this. We're going to go through it. You get Jess and I. We will take you through Ignite. Now, this was a class that was skipped or missed at some point. So I think on the calendar yesterday looked like your last class, but this really is your last class, so it's a makeup class. So
Just if I could say something, I think right now we have a small enough group that if you have a question, you can just ask it and interrupt. But if you're not comfortable doing that, I will be watching the chat, so you can always chat and I can get your questions answered.
we
On
are
that note-
not offended with interruptions. So Just
I don't have a question, but I just have to, I'm juggling two things, so I might pop out for a meeting or two. I promise it's not because I'm bored or I'm awkward. I just have to get on the meeting and then I'll try to come back. But if you see me go away, just know that's the case.
All right, absolutely. So we're going to start with talking about what successful agents do every day. And I think you probably, heard this when you came over to KW and probably in your Ignite session. We are all about helping you grow your business, right? The difference between us and a lot of other brokers is that we don't feel you're here to help us grow our business or our brokerage. We are here to help you grow your business. So we're going to dive into these today and talk about some of the skills here and how you internalize some of the scripts to do them, right?
I may have come in after this because I know I came in about 6-7 minutes late. And so I apologize, but can you introduce yourselves and tell me like what market center you guys are from?
So we'll go through. So I'm Kate Houlihan. I'm the team leader at Keller Williams Legacy Partners in West Hartford, Connecticut. And Jess?
I'm Jess Giordano. I am Kate's executive assistant.
Gotcha.
Yeah, also known as she keeps me focused and going in the right direction so I don't mess up.
I try.
Kevin,
Oh,
just a quick who you are, where you are.
sure. I'm Kevin Philemon. I've seen Eric a lot in the classes. Not surprised that he would be in this one too. Kevin Philemon from Keller Williams Elite in Plainville. I am based in Brockton though.
Great. Jack?
And then I'm Jack Regan, also have been in a lot of classes with Eric and Kevin. But I am out of Chestnut Hill, which is just west of Boston.
Very nice. Very
And
nice.
I'm in Westford, by the way. I'm north of Boston in the Merrimack
Oh.
Valley.
Got an all Massachusetts class.
Got a math class. You should be doing this on the Cape or in a coffee shop in Boston, right? All right, so some of these, since this is out of sequence, a lot of these things you may have gone over in your previous classes, but we'll touch upon them and then go into the scripts, right? Right, so there's things that you need to do to grow your business. And obviously at the top of that is that lead gen, right? That's the most important thing that you're going to be focused on, especially as you get your business up and running. On the run the business side, right? These are all the day-to-day things that you need to manage to make sure that your business is in compliance, your customers are happy, your buyers and sellers are raving fans, and that you are really getting to those goals quickly and mindfully. So I think I see 6 and 9, which is set goals and manage money. I'm going to say I don't like the number as at number 6. So please don't look at this in importance. Like if you do 1 first, 2, then 3, then 4. Why do you think it's important to maybe look at that set goals on a higher up on that list?
Is it because they're like very foundational?
When you go somewhere and you don't know where you're going, what do?
You get lost.
Right. And so instead of getting lost, what do? What helps you not get lost?
A map.
No, right. So when you set your goals, it's where you want to go, right? And then the steps that you're going to take to get there. So it's your foundational, it's your roadmap, right? To the reason that you're doing this. And those goals can be set in a lot of different ways, yearly, then down to monthly, down to weekly, and what you're doing every day. But if you're not doing those steps and you don't know where you're going for the end run, whatever that time frame is, you don't know how much you need to do in all those other areas. Does that make sense for you guys? Awesome. All right, bear with me.
You were referring to the steps. Am I missing a page, or are we just kind of talking off the cuff? I'm looking at my, session 3, and I don't have anything referring to steps. I just want to make sure I'm not missing something.
I'm just going off what's on the screen
Okay.
here, Eric.
Okay.
So can you see the screen where it says grow business and run it business,
No.
things agents do every
No,
day?
my screen just shows, this happened yesterday. My screen literally just shows Ignites session 3, that cover page.
Yeah, me
Yep,
too.
I was just gonna say that. I actually just chatted you, Kate, it's not showing a different slide. It's just showing the main slide.
So when I move it, you're not seeing it.
No,
No.
Maybe try to stop share and then reshare.
Okay, what do you see?
see, oh, there we go.
Yep, there we go.
All right, so that's where I was. Well, let's
Yep.
see, does it go to the next one?
Yep.
Yep, so we can see it going back and forth. And this slide I'm familiar with. So yeah, so now I know, now I feel like I'm on the same page.
Okay. So these are our focus for today, right? The lead generation, make the seller listing presentations, the buyer presentations, preview real estate, showing houses, negotiating contracts, and transaction management to closing. And if any of this has already been discussed in anything, let me know. Ask questions. We'll just go through this, okay? So the purpose of scripts. Have we talked about scripts in any other the sessions?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Okay, so what did you learn?
The biggest thing that I took was just that, the scripts is something that should be a daily, especially when you're new, it should be a daily part of your activity. The purpose being is you don't want to practice on your clients. You want to practice on not your clients, so that when you are in front of your clients, it's natural and flows, and it's no longer a script. It's just what you do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so when I look at this and I look at my sales experience, right? The most important thing is uncovering those motivations, right? What is the reason that they're even talking to you? What do they want to, why do they want to buy? Why do they want to sell, right? What's motivating them to actually get into a real estate transaction, right? And then when it talks about speak in terms the customer understands, when you're helping them and trying to figure out and identify those objections, how you talk back to them, it's going to have to be in kind of like in their language, right? In a way that you're going to validate what they're saying, you're going to confirm that you really understand it, and you're going to talk to them in their terms, right? So if I had a fear about something in particular, right? And it's based on finances, and my financial perspective is pretty limited because maybe this is my first time home buyer. You're going to confirm, validate their concerns, speak it back to them, reframe it in their way, right? And then help identify those objections and ways to get around them in terms that they understand as you're using those scripts. Does that make sense? So you've done scripts in your classes?
Yeah, a handful of the classes we've had little breakout rooms where we've
Yes.
practiced scripts.
We've done
Okay.
scripts ad nauseum.
Okay. So this is what we're going to talk about. Removing your limiting beliefs. Okay. So I know, Kevin, there's like scripts and we go over scripts and we go over scripts, right?
It's all for the
So
good.
scripts, yeah, they help you build your confidence, especially since something that you haven't done before, right? So they help you in your ability to get your job done, which is getting that buyer or seller to the table to sign on with you and then helping them with that transaction to a close. They also allow you to stay focused. I can suffer from squirrel, right? Dot, 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 and off on a tangent I go. The scripts will help you stay focused and in the moment with that conversation with that buyer or that seller, right? You know, it's we insert who we are in anything that we are doing, but we're also always doing that in a way that respects and honors why that client is in front of you to begin with. And they allow you to have some consistency in what is said and actions that you need to take, okay? So are you memorizing your scripts?
Yeah, trying to bit by bit.
What's the hardest thing about memorizing your scripts?
I think knowing what to say is fine. It's just knowing when to say it and kind of how to, when you're in the middle of talking with somebody, looping it back to the script. Because like I can also go on a tangent or the person could go on a tangent. So it's about just sticking to it in a live situation.
Okay. So when the client goes off, right? And you're trying to get them focused on what's their objectives, what's their reason for being here at the table with you, what would actually motivate them to go ahead with this transaction with you. You can shift the conversation to where you want to go easily by just asking an honest question from the position of curiosity. Okay. And you could lead with that word, right? You know, so if I'm off on a tangent about something, you know, maybe it's I had a specific street or area of town that I wanted to move into, and you're trying to get to like, what's the objection for maybe looking for a different type of house, or, you know, are there opportunities for, you know, other towns, or maybe their commitment to get a mortgage is at one level and they want to keep it down really low, much lower than that, but their objection, their what they want to get to, like the house that they want, is going to be higher than that, right? So the reality is here, and they want you to focus here. So ask those questions from a position of curiosity, and you can interject them fairly easy when you do that, right? So I'm curious, you're talking about this, and how do we come back, or can we come back to a moment for, and may I ask you a couple of questions about this? And then you can go back to your scripts. Right? So it's not, you know, we're not shutting them up, right? We know you might want to go time out, right? I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. Just say, no, I'm curious. I know you're talking about this. May we go back to this? Because I want to try to help you figure something out. So you could refocus them very easily to get them back on track to where you want to go. Does that help you, Kevin? Awesome, thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you. Did they do this with you? Read, repeat, read?
This doesn't look
So-
familiar to me, but I've been in and out of sessions, so.
Yeah, no, this is new.
Yeah,
All
I don't
right,
recognize it.
All right, I thought I was crazy.
All right, so I say things out loud in my car a lot. If I'm going to an appointment, I will practice what I want to say out loud. It can, when you speak that out loud, it resonates with you and you tend to memorize it easier than if you are just reading it. Right? So when you're practicing your scripts, try to practice them someplace out loud so you can hear them, right? So you get comfortable with your voice saying those words. We all have conversations that are very easy for us, right? Very easy, whether it's the jobs we are in currently or just left, or with friends, or whatever. They're easy to us because we've said them over and over again. We said them out loud. We know how we sound when we say them, and we're comfortable with it. When you read something, right? If I read, what is your intention for moving and timeframes? If I ask probing questions in my head, it sounds much different than if I say them out loud. And it's going to feel much different if you are doing it, because it's going to sound funny the first time you do it. You're going to kind of crack up, like, God, I'm saying this out loud, right in the car or in my office at home or something. And if you're sitting down like this and your arms are crossed, the emotion, the feeling that comes across is going to be a heck of a lot different, than if you're sitting up, you have a smile on your face, you're getting focused, right? You're envisioning on the other side, the person that you're talking to, and they are enthralled with every word that you're saying. Like, they are just focused. They're saying, like, Eric speaks truth. Eric knows what he's doing. I love Eric. I'm buying from Eric. All right. So imagine that, vision that, hold that, okay, repeat, and this is just saying first, seconds going through each time, but doing those over and over in your head from that position of seeing the results of the person on the other side of the table or the Zoom or wherever in the coffee shop is going to help you to bring the energy out from that. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. What's a script you're having a hard time with?
So I don't necessarily, that it's not a particular script, it's more of a situation that I haven't become adept enough to feel like it's a natural flow. So, my database is relatively small, and quite a bit of it is people that I'm very, very close to. So I don't at all have a problem talking to the people, but where I'm finding it starts to, and I'm a born talker, so like I don't shy away from talking, but I also want it to feel natural and don't want to have it just seem awkward at some point. And so where I'm having the challenge is going from, I'm okay with the Ford or some derivative of the Ford model, but turning it to real estate is where, well, I can make the turn, but once I'm leaning into the topic, that's when I feel like I'm throwing a pitch at them, and it's not, you know what I mean? And so, because most of the people I'm talking to, and I'll be completely forthcoming, I haven't done a lot of it yet because I kind of wanted to soak up all of Ignite before I kind of come up with my own game plan. But you know, like if I haven't seen them, then you can do, hey, what are you up to nowadays? And then it's an even, you know, then they're gonna, you know, I ask them, they ask me, no big deal, off to the races. But if it's somebody who intimately knows what I'm doing and what my kid is doing every day and sees me on Facebook, you know, that's where it's been challenging for me to kind of make that pivot.
Okay. So I'm gonna play with you.
Because I know what they're doing. You know, I don't need to ask them, hey, what are you doing? And then in return, I'm not getting that reciprocal, what are you up to?
Right. So let's pretend we're buddies.
Okay.
Okay. Let's pretend we're buddies.
Hey, Kate, how you doing?
All right. I'm awesome. I'm gonna talk to you though. I'm gonna
Okay,
talk to
all right.
you.
Cool.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see how this goes. Hi, Eric.
Hey, how are you, Kate?
I'm great. I'm really great. You know, I'm so glad we had this chance to meet. What have you been up to these days?
Well, you know, just spending a lot of time with the family. I just started getting into real estate, so it's
No,
very.
you're not doing the real estate part. I'm doing the real estate part. Just tell me how you're doing.
Okay, I'm the buddy, you're the agent. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, you're the buddy. I'm the agent.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. You know, just spend a lot of time with the family lately. You know, with COVID, we kind of made our own little bubble, and I'm just enjoying being around my little toddler and just being a dad.
Yeah, I so get that, Eric. And you know, I've been kind of doing the same thing. COVID was a time for me to reevaluate what I was doing, and you know, I decided to leave where I was, right, and go on to a new venture, and I'm really, really excited about it. Part of the reason I'm excited is that, you know, I've always wanted to do something where I get to help people. And, you know, I know real estate's a really, having a home is important. It's like, look at us, we got our families and our houses, and how great does it feel that we had a place that we love to live in during COVID. And whether it's this pandemic or, you know, when this is over, I really want to help people buy real estate, build equity in it, and help them. Do you mind if I tell you a little bit about what I decided for a career decision?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So did that feel like I was pitching?
Now the first part didn't. That was you know, I like the technique you used where you didn't wait for the question, you just assumed the question and gave the answer. So I like that part of it. I will tell you honestly though, like you know, when you go into the you know, do you mind if I tell you a little bit more? To me, and you know, it does start to sound a little pitchy.
All right, so we're going to get into some limits and beliefs on that in a minute, right? Because if you're my buddy, Eric, and you're talking to me about that, I'm going to want to hear.
Right. Well, to me, it's just the question. It's not necessarily the content, but like, again, being a talker, and I have some very bad habits. I talk over people, I dominate the conversation, and I am aware of this, and I know that that's something I need to work on for my new chosen path. Bearing that in mind, like, I think my friends, family, etc., I think if I just like barreled into the, you know, I think if I didn't ask the do you mind and just started talking, I think it would flow more naturally for what people are used to from me. So I'm just referring to that one phrase. I'm not necessarily referring to the conversation.
Yep. Absolutely. So I was just looking for permission from you.
Right. Yeah. No, and I like that. I guess I in other Ignites, I like that, you know, that you're always asking permission at some stage. I mean, you know, I see the value in that for sure.
Yeah. And if you're sitting at the bar with your buddy, you might just like go right into it, right?
Right.
And and how do you balance that? So I'm just going to say hi, Christopher. Do you like Chris or Christopher? Yeah,
I tend to go with Christopher.
perfect. I'll use Christopher. Thank you for joining us. how long you been in real estate? I'm Kate Houlihan. I'm the team leader here at Keller Williams Legacy Partners in West Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay. I've just recently been licensed. But I mean, I have some experience and knowledge of the industry. I'm excited to be part of it now, though.
Great, great. Well, welcome to real estate. Welcome aboard. Jess, there says KW New England, the other one, so we did, neither one of us changed our names here. Jess is my executive assistant, the person that all the strategy and brains between keeping me focused and on task. So this is a makeup class, so we're a little out of order and some of these things you've been able to, you've gone over already, but we're talking about scripts. And we're going to get now into some limiting beliefs, right? Because, you know, what happens between our two ears are conversations that we have with ourselves. Sometimes helps that script go well or not. So one of the things we talked about, Chris, really quickly is this this screen right here. And I know everyone's had a lot of scripts through Ignite already. So this was a class from early in the program. Is we talked about the value of saying your scripts out loud, right? So how they resonate with you when you're saying out loud in your car, in your office, wherever it is, and hearing how it comes across, right? It helps you fine tune it, and mostly helps you get comfortable with it, right? So very different feel, Christopher, saying it than reading it. All right, so let's go back here. Do we want to do some script play or do we want to go into limiting beliefs?
Script play could
Right.
be a good idea.
Which one?
Script role play.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have a script they want to pick?
I have been mostly on the Ford script in my real life. And actually, to add on to what you said, Eric, I've actually dipped into using Ford on family members that know me very well. And what I find is a good way to segue to the real estate aspect is I go through the F's. Usually the F's are so, and like the family is so in depth that carries a lot of the conversation. And then when I'm ready to go into like what I do, a real estate, I start with the O and I go really deep into what they do. By the time we're done delving into that, they just shoot that back at me and I tell them what I do. And just like what came for your instinct, there's usually no question for me. I just go right into like what I do and how it excites me and how I can like the ability that I have to change lives now. And I'd love to like do that for the people I know. And it just flows really naturally. I feel like once you do it, it's just going to click. Right now, it's all on paper, it's all in scripts, but it's going to quickly become a natural way of how you speak to people, especially knowing how you speak in general through these classes. But yes, I would be down to do scripts.
All right.
I appreciate that.
So, Kevin, again, we have a small group here, right? And we could go in a breakout room, but why don't you pick a script and why don't you pick a partner and why don't you do it with them?
Okay. Well, Ford is what I'm most comfortable now since I've yet to make it past that. So we could
Okay.
do Ford and Chris, would you want to do a script with me? All right. Any preference as to want me to be the agent or?
You can start as the agent and then I'll try after. I'm curious to see your approach. And apologies if I don't have any of the depth you're looking for. It's easier to talk about Ford when you're actually talking about things that matter to you. That's why I think it's such a good structure, because like people like to talk about things that are real close to them, but I'll try to keep it hypothetical. I'll try my best, but I'll be the buyer, seller, or just prospect. I'll be the prospect.
No problem. That'll be good. Okay. So I'll give you a call. Ring, ring.
Hello,
Hey, Chris, it's Kevin. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How can I help you? Long time no hear.
I know. I was actually just going through my phone and I just want to know if this was still your number. So I'm glad to hear you picked up, and I guess nice to check in on you too. Like you still like in the area, you still in Massachusetts?
Oh, I am. I'm a lifer. Massachusetts at heart.
I'm not mad at it. I'm still out here too. And you're right. We haven't spoken since like we worked together at the YMCA. Are you still there? Because I left like maybe a couple years ago.
I am. They treat me well. I enjoy being there. It's a good area.
Nice, nice. How's your family?
They're good. We actually have a new addition on the way, which I'm excited to share about.
Oh, really? Yourself?
Mhm.
I didn't even know you were married, man. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah. I guess we haven't spoken in a long time. Just recently tied the knot and adding to the family. So becoming a
great.
Massachusetts family. Looking forward to it.
Great. Is she far enough along to know if it's a boy or girl yet?
Oh, wait. I mean, this actually happened last year. I have a beautiful young daughter.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. And you guys are still out here in Brockton, huh? I mean, Brockton, Massachusetts, right?
We are. Rent's been pretty expensive, as you probably have seen in the news or whatnot, but
Yeah.
I mean, my roots are tied in Brockton, so I don't see any other direction.
Have you like considered like moving out of your situation or maybe like owning a home or anything like that? You and your lady?
Oh, I mean, that's the dream. But you know how finances are. I mean, the YMCA is a great place to work, but it's not really setting me up to own my own home.
I hear you. Yeah, and it's a little turbulent out there. But what I'm finding is if you really have the drive, if you really have the goal to do it, you can end up pretty much anywhere you need to. You just kind of need like the right guidance. Like even me myself, I've been in that situation and I really had to just educate myself and figure out what's out there and just go for it. I actually like I hear your situation and I'm actually in a position to potentially help you. We haven't spoken in a while, but I'm actually a real estate kind of consultant slash like agent. And I'd really love to give you information as to like what's available out there. Like it'd be great to help you out after all this time. If you'd be willing to just sit down, you and your lady, we could just discuss what's going on out there and what we could do for you.
Well, this is good to hear. I mean, you've piqued my interest. Do you work in the Brockton area? I haven't seen you around.
Well, I still live in the Brockton area, but I'm signed on with KW in Plainville. Really great office, really great people, and they've really poured into me. And that gives me the ability to pour into the people I care about. So me and you, we could sit down and I can answer all the questions you may have and we could see what you're working with and we can at least figure out like some options for you guys. I'd really be happy to do that for you.
Interesting. I mean, owning a home is one of my dreams. I'd be open to meet. Let me check with my significant other and we'll see if we can find a time.
Yeah, that sounds great. Just so you know, if you want to let her know, like I'm free Saturdays and Tuesdays at 5 p.m. So you can let her know. Tell you what, I'll give you a text or a call tomorrow morning and we can see if we could set something up and I'd be happy to meet with you guys.
Great. Likely Tuesday. Here's my email.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. Okay, I'll definitely keep in touch. Please send my regards to your wife and family. I'm very glad to hear that your family's growing and hopefully we can bless you guys with a new setup. That'd be awesome.
This is good news. I look forward to reconnecting, Kevin.
Sounds good, Chris. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Can I just, before we dive in anything, like I've role played with Christopher, so it's not shocking at all that his end of things was very natural. And I've also been in the same room and role played with Kevin as well. But wow, hats off to both of you. And Kevin, like that was phenomenal. Like seriously, like that, there was not 1 ounce of like hesitation, awkwardness, anything. I mean, that flowed. I don't know how it felt, but looking at it, there wasn't a second of anything that wasn't, perceivably natural.
Right.
So
it
hats
feels
off to
very
you.
natural. Thank you. It feels very natural when you do it. I know that you're capable of it because we've had conversations like this and we don't even know each other. But
Right.
everything it felt like me just laced with what I do now. And I get the vibe that you're somebody who likes to help too. So it's just another area where you can help somebody. And if that excites you like it excites me, you're just going to go for it. But I didn't know this until I first did it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it shows that you've tailored your craft. What I noticed that I do is I talk about, as a way to keep like real estate in the conversation, I talk about why I chose Keller Williams. And so like that, because then I can talk about coming from contribution, helping people and whatever. And so for me, that's an easier way to just kind of get that across. But yeah, no, that was really impressive, both of you guys. I just wanted to be the
Right on.
first to say like that, as
Yeah.
Thank you,
peer,
Chris.
that was outstanding.
So Christopher said something important, right? He works for the Y, doesn't think financially with that salary, he could own a home. Kevin said, I hear you. I was in the same spot, but I know how to help you figure things out, right? And then got Christopher to readjust a little bit. But then I like when Kevin started talking about really like pouring in and helping, right? I have the tool, I can pour in and help everyone, right? Those were really, I think, words you could hear coming from him from emotionally. And it's like, after that, it was easy, it was done.
Because I mean, the goal of that conversation was basically to get the sit down, because I mean, then you're able to really assess, if you're able to help and really kind of create that dream and connect them.
Right. So, yeah. So it's like, I always say it's the first date, right? The first date, right? You're feeling, high level things out. And you just want to get to sit down, have coffee and have a deeper conversation, right? So the level is here, right? Where, as you get to the sit down, the presentation, then there's a lot more that you can pour into that's, the capabilities, whether, yours and KW's, right? So this is that, it's speed dating. I want you to get interested in me because I'm really interested in you. And what do I say to get that emotional connection there? Well done, guys. All right, so this is what we're going to talk about now. Oops. Where's the limiting beliefs part? Hold on, bear with me a sec. I swear I saw this here. Do you have a handout on your side about limiting beliefs?
Keep going. It's at the very beginning. So you're towards the end of your slides, and it's actually at the beginning of the slides or near the beginning. Oh, well, I guess, yeah, it looks like maybe okay, well.
All right, so I just went by it. But I think this is a good place to do it. So you should have something that looks like this.
The
Right.
screen was blurred. Didn't quite see that.
All right, it's in your handout.
Page
You're going
4.
to have an activity called removing your limiting beliefs.
Page 4, correct?
Yep, page 4.
Okay.
Okay. And what I want you to do is to just take a couple minutes. Think about limiting beliefs you have when you're going to make a phone call. Right? So maybe my limiting belief is I don't think I'm going to come off as authentic. So when I make that phone call, I'm not going to be authentic. Okay. So you're going to write down 3 of them. And for each limiting belief, I want you to think about a way that you could remove that belief. have you talked about yes ands in your class?
It sounds familiar, but still a little fuzzy.
All right. So, if I were to use it in the situation that I might not be authentic when I'm doing my script. My limiting belief is that I come off as being pushy or salesy, right? Or I'm trying to be authentic, but it comes across like I'm selling a used car, right? That doesn't have engine, right? There's no motion attached. So when you're thinking about how you're going to remove that limiting belief, I want you to think in yes and. I believe I don't come off authentic in my presentation. And if I let more of myself come in, my personality, my emotion, who I am, come into that, that will help change the situation. So yes, and instead of a yeah, but, and you could use that anywhere in life, right? You can use that in your personal relationships and your encounters with, and Jess will tell you that we do this a
I
lot
was
here.
just gonna say, she does it to me all the time, just in normal conversation.
Jess will say something and she'll say blah, 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 but, and I'm like, turn it around to a yes and, right? You know, that's very difficult, you know, or I could do that, but I could do that, but, you know, right? So when you say but, what is it? What happens to your mind? Constricts.
I mean, you're giving yourself permission to feel that way. I mean, so you're validating it, but then you're also, you know, addressing the solution.
Right, when it's a but, you're also validating you're validating everything that could happen that's wrong about it. Right, that sounds like a good idea, but that script may be great, but. So it takes any ability that you have to think big and bold about that. And as Christopher went like this, constricts it to everything that could go wrong. So it doesn't allow you to think about things that are options to make it actually true. Right? So with Christopher and that script role play, right? The why, you know, doesn't afford me the ability financially to buy a house. So it'd be great to buy a house, but I work at the Y. Kevin said, yeah, you work at the Y, a great place. And I think I have ways to help because I was actually there too. So all of a sudden, Christopher went like this to thinking, I can't do anything because there was all these buts, all these excuses, right? To, oh, now there's possibilities. So it's a great tool no matter what you're doing, right? Even, you know, having conversations, you know, when you're at home or with family or friends or significant others, right? When it's, you know, that yeah, but comes up, like you're thinking like, oh, yeah, this, you know, try using it and when you can. And will let you think of possibilities and ways to fix things and create, and but shuts that right down. So when you're writing down these limiting beliefs, you get 3 of them. I want you to dig really deep for a minute here about what they are. And then for each limiting belief, I want you to kind of write a yes and base that yes and on something you think you can do to remove that. Jack, are you good with that explanation?
Yeah, 100%.
All right. I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes and we'll come back in 3 minutes. How's that? So I want you to really think about them.
I've got to take off for a meeting, but I will reconvene.
Perfect. Okay. Come back with your beliefs.
Oh, I will.
Okay. How's it going?
Well, I think I have 2, so I need maybe 1 more minute just to get a 3rd one down.
Awesome. Okay. You got it.
This kind of ties in. I'm not trying to jumpstart the conversation, but while people are still writing, this kind of ties a little bit into what I was saying before about the what you referred to as like the authenticity of the conversation. But is the end goal always a phone call, or is the end goal touching base with the person? And the example that I'll use to more define my question is, I have a variety of family members who are incredibly busy people. I mean, and I don't say that lightly. I mean, I know everybody's got a minute in the day. These people just are go, go, go. I mean, one cousin in particular, she's in charge of Wisconsin's educational system. So, I mean, so 5 minutes out of her day can be spent trying to get funding for, for school districts and stuff like that. So knowing the premium that certain people put
Whoops.
I think we lost him.
Yeah, and we lost him. And we have Corey. Hi, Corey. And I don't see Kevin. Hey, Corey, could you put your video on for a sec? Not sure what's going on here, but. Oh, there's Eric. Eric's back.
Sorry about that. My computer ran out of juice.
Okay.
So, but anyway, so my question is, with people like that, where I know that they just, that the time is just not theirs to give more often than not. Is it the phone call that is it kind of all or nothing with the phone call? Because I feel like, Facebook, when all you've ever done is communicate with these people via social media for, 15 years, 10 years, whatever, I guess 10 years. A phone call in the middle of their busy day is going to seem strange.
So you need to judge that based on the person you're calling.
Right.
And what you're going to find as you go along in this career and you're selling real estate and doing this is that whether it's someone that it's your cousin or your neighbor or some client that you get because of your lead generation, right? Everyone will have different ways that they want to communicate with them. Your job is to find the best way to do that, right? Get them on the phone is always a great first option to do that because you're going to have that conversation with them. If you haven't talked to your cousin on the phone in 10 years, you're sending that message because all you want to do is let them know what you're doing, right? And you're also going to find as you play around in this business, right, that there are going to be individuals you pour a lot of energy into, and there's going to be individuals you don't pour a lot of energy into. That you're going to plant a seed with some so that they know what you're doing. And then the others, you're going to go all out with, right? So your cousin in Wisconsin is just going to say, hey, for any contacts, I'm making stuff up now, I don't know here, but, she grew up in Massachusetts with you. So, maybe she still has contacts in Massachusetts. Hey, cuz, just want to let you know that, I'm starting this amazing career and I'm really excited about helping people in our old hometown and your hometown. Just help me, reshare my post.
Right. Okay.
Because chances of you selling her a house back in Massachusetts, it may happen, but it may not happen now, right? So
Right.
What you're trying to do is get to the people that you can get in relationship with that will do a transaction sooner than later. Apologize, I'm not plugged in here. And those are the people that you're going to pour the energy into, right?
Right.
So, just, I don't know, raise your hands. Do you like visuals? Christopher and Eric and Jack and Corey, do you like visuals to help you do things?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So think of this.
Yep.
Back a long time ago, right? When the merchant ships went out to gather spices, right? That they went out to fish. They did all of this, right? They had to make decisions on what they were going to do based on what their immediate product return was and what they could sell, right? So if they wanted to do something quick, a quick turnaround to get a product and sell it quickly, right? They weren't sailing the ocean blue across the continent. across the, to another continent to get spices that were not in their country. That is not a quick turnaround. It may have a hefty price tag when it comes back, but it's not quick cash. So that little fishing boat that goes right out to sea that casts the net or the pole to get the fish that are right there off the shore is how they get immediate cash. Right? Other fishermen might say, hey, I want that tuna that's way out in sea, that they don't come close to shore. I want to go out further. I want to go deep sea fishing. So I'm going to take the chance of casting a net farther out. I'll take my time about it, and maybe I send another boat out that way. And while my other guys are fishing close to sea and bringing money in, I have a boat that's going further out to get me that tuna that will bring me more money when it comes in, but it's going to take longer to come in. And now that I have money coming in from close to the shore, have money coming in from the boat that's going out deep sea fishing. Now I have time and money I can invest and maybe send a boat out across the ocean and bring back some spices that are valued here and cost a lot and I can sell for a lot. Or maybe there's other fish that's exotic over there. You know, what can I get and catch there that gets me money in the long term, but not immediate? So when you're first thing in business, right? Because this isn't like going to work for a company down the road. Your first goal is to get those transactions and the word out with people that you think potentially could bring you money quickly. Right, so that's your fishing close to shore. Your cousin in Wisconsin, that's the boat going across the sea, right? And she's going to help you by reposting your post about real estate. She's going to help you just by knowing that you're in the business. It's letting her know. So you're going to have to evaluate who and where you're focusing your energy on. And right now you want to fish as best as you can close to shore. That makes sense to everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Corey, can you take your mute off for a sec and say hi and introduce yourself?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Corey Cole. I'm over at the KW office in Plainville, MC 868. I joined about, say, 30 days ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still fairly new. I got my license in Massachusetts back in July of 2021. I don't have too much experience, but I have done a lot of trainings. I have done some like practicing. I've done some showings. I've done open houses for other agents and stuff like that. So I have some experience, but like not a lot. I don't have any transactions or any of that stuff. So just taking everything like like one step at a time, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm
Thank
happy to
you.
meet you
Thank
guys.
you.
I'm happy to meet you guys.
Thank you. Happy to meet you too. I am the team leader here, Corey, at Keller Williams Legacy Partners in West Hartford, Connecticut. And Jess is my executive assistant, working with me here out of our market center. So what we were
Awesome. I'm
talking
not too
about.
far from Connecticut.
No, close by.
Very close, very close. I like
So
this
what
area.
we-
It's like a little tri-state.
Yeah,
No.
it is. It's a great place to be. So
I'm
what we
actually in
were-
Pawtucket.
You're in Pawtucket?
Yeah, so I'm,
Yep.
soon to be licensed in Rhode Island.
Yep. No Pawtucket. Drive through there to go to the beach.
Right. But I'll let you get on with it. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, that's okay. That's okay. You guys thinking about summer and beach, so that's all good. That's all good. Corey, on page 4, there's a sheet where we're talking about limiting beliefs. When making phone calls. So if you want to just take a minute and write down some of your limiting beliefs that you've had with making calls. And then a plan to remove them. And that's going to be, try to, I talked about using yes and in conversations instead of buts. So I know I have to make lead gen calls, but I get tongue tied, or I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up, right? So I know I have to do lead gen calls, and I plan to practice my scripts, right? So the and opens you up to possibilities, the but doesn't. So I'm going to have you go back on mute, and then I'm going to ask Jack to tell us. We're going to do this a little differently because we had a small group. Jack, if you can tell us what your limiting beliefs were and your plan for each.
Sure. So I went really like big picture with it. So I guess I'm not sure if this is the right way to go with it, but I'll go for it, and you guys can let me know. So my first one was just like something I've been feeling, and it's not exclusive to phone calls, but I know that the average person knows at least 3 agents. So my first limiting belief is they can use any agent. The average person knows 3+. And my but to that, or my counter to that, is that my plan is to differentiate myself by cultivating a better relationship with that client, and explaining all the value that I myself can provide, especially being a new agent to my advantage, having a little extra time, and making sure that they know I can spend more time than anyone else can on them. But also everything that KW provides, and everyone in my market center is also in your corner fighting for you, making sure that you get help to the best of your abilities. So I guess that was my first one, just kind of telling myself that they can use any agent, but I can differentiate myself those ways.
Great. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. You want me to go with all 3 right now, or?
Go with all 3. Yeah, let's hear 'em.
Okay. And then another one is just, when I'm on a phone call, especially, it's like, this person doesn't want to hear from me. It's like, that's kind of like something that's just like in my head before I even make the call. And I guess my counter to that was that, I actually, I have value, especially from, Christopher and Kevin's example. It's like, they might not be thinking about buying a home or selling or whatever it is, but you can educate them more about why that might be a good decision for them, especially in this market. And even something that they don't think they want might be something that has more value to them that they know. And then my third one isn't really a fully thought out one, because it was taking me a little bit of time to come up with a third one. But yesterday I went in person to my market center. We had a really nice workshop with I forget what his name was, but he was super helpful, and he gave this idea of when taking a sale, or when in a meeting with a prospective seller, ask for the listing one more time than you're comfortable with. And I thought that was really interesting, because that's different for everybody, and or different to the situation. But I thought that was interesting, because it's like, in your head, you just want to kind of stop. You don't want to proceed to keep asking for something, or you just kind of want to let the prospective seller decide for themselves. But if you're able to just do it one more time, then it provides a lot of value, and you can you have a much better chance of getting the listing.
Right, right. And sometimes in sales, we forget to even ask. Period.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we've talked about that a little bit too, but that's definitely a good point.
Right, we do the presentation and then we don't make the close. We feel uncomfortable doing that. Then we feel uncomfortable when we have to go back a second time and ask, right? So just some things that you can do when you're making the close. Your language towards when you're working up to making the close should be all in the tense and the verbiage of as if we are working together already. If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
I didn't think about that.
So, right, so Jack, I know you want to get your house on the market by Tuesday. So what we're going to do is we're going to sign these papers here today. And once we do that, I will be able to immediately get your home up on MLS. We have our stagers on standby. I got everything all set up. When do you think would be a good time? Like, are you ready to bring in that stager? Do you think we can get a stager in here on Monday or Tuesday to get things going for you? Okay, so that's great. So everything is from the position of we're already working together.
Right, yeah. And something else I've heard similar to that note is a good closing is like, okay, when can you put me to work? Or can you put me to work right now? When can I start working for you? And it kind of is the same theme of like, I'm ready to start right now. Like, let's get this started. Let's not wait.
Also ask them to envision what it's going to be like when the two of you are celebrating selling their house. What is that going to look like, and what would have had transpired? How would it have all rolled out? So they're going to tell you
Sorry.
their
Can you tell me what you mean by that? Or I guess you're about to go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. So I have been in this role since October here in our market center. When I was talking with our OP about it, and I was going through an interview process, I said to him, so, just imagine it's a year from now, and we're sitting here in this conference room, and you hired me for the team leader role, and I knocked it outside of the park. Tell me what I did. Tell me what you expected, and tell me how it all came about. So I did not know that he was going to ask me to do that for 5 years. And he's like, oh, you beat me to the punch. And my question for you now is going to be, I want you to do that for 5 years. So you better get thinking. So he threw me a curveball. I thought I was throwing him one. And if you're sitting with your client, it's, I'm showing up at your closing. You sold this house. What are the results you're looking for, and how do we go about getting that for you? And what was the most important thing that I did for you to get that done? What they're going to tell you is everything you need to hear to get that job done. And you're going to reframe it back to them when you're asking for the close. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely does.
Great. Christopher, Leamington believes.
So I got 4. My mechanical disbeliefs aren't really there. I mean, I've worked some inside sales, so picking up the phone and calling is something I'm kind of overcame a lot of objections in my life. So the disbeliefs here are kind of talking specifically about the sphere of contacts that I have loaded into command. And also another caveat, I'm working on the Magnus and Balfour team in Maine, so it's a lot of commercial business brokerage oriented questions rather than more residentially toned stuff. So the first one I had, and I don't know if I did this exercise right, but the way I wrote it was, will this call be worth the effort? And I haven't checked. So, I don't know if it won't. I mean, so that would be removing limited
Yep.
disbelief. The second one is, is there scope of interest even in my territory since I'm in the state of Maine? And I haven't spoke with them in a while, so I don't know. Which it makes it easier to pick up the phone because it gives direction. Do they work with what I do or what we do? And I don't know for sure if they don't, because there's potential that they do, or there's interest. I mean, the D in Ford, I think is a little, it's not celebrated as much as it should be. I mean, talking about someone's dream is basically talking about the future. How do you think it's going to look? And sometimes it's completely different of what, the first FOR, FOARE, FOR. Now, never, or in the future. And I haven't asked, so I don't know. So, I mean, those are the 4 I came up with.
That's great. That's great. And yes, you got it right. Right. So I think it was your third one. What first came to my mind was, and it's my job to find out. So say,
Yeah.
right.
Well,
Can you say your third one again?
do they work with what we do? And it's my job to find out. I see it's better than, I don't know for sure.
Yeah,
So,
it's my job
thank
to
you.
find
Yeah.
out. Yeah. And it's my job to be here for them if they do.
Or when they do. Yeah.
Yeah. So each time you rephrase those, thank you. Each time you rephrase that, I apologize for that, it opens you up to more possibilities. That makes sense?
Well, it's an open-ended, because you're just saying, I mean, that's what I'm here for. And then I don't know what the response is going to be, but that's how you really open the conversation, get better insight, better picture. And then you have the opportunity to ask more questions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what do you think the potential is that every time you have a conversation with someone and you really pour into it, that maybe even if they are not right now ready to make a move or do something, is there a possibility that maybe they talk to someone that is, or that could use your services?
That's typically the standard fallback on every time I pick up the phone. I mean, if there's nothing there, and even if there's no conversation, if I'm able to get that little bit of a pitch out, to end the conversation, if it's not going good, is there anybody that you can think of that comes to mind that potentially would be open to a conversation with me? And there's a lot of different ways to say that, but
Yeah.
that's and I refer to it as spider webbing, but that's my networking, connection tool.
Right. Don't be afraid to ask for help. People typically generally want to help. Right. So, if they're not there yet, if this is not in their immediate future, right? So, do you mind helping me? Right. So maybe they're not comfortable getting you names of 5 people or giving you names or referring, but you could pose in a way that you open it up for them to do it whatever way is comfortable for them. If you're on social media, like my post or reshare my post, or I'm going to send you my contact information. You know, just keep it on your phone, right? So if you're ever in a conversation with them, you know, pull it up, right? You know, get a, you know, business cards have QR codes on them now, right? You know, put that in your contact information, send them the QR code. You know, do you mind just holding on to that just in case, right? I'm starting new. Anything you can do would be great. It's no pressure. But if you happen to hear someone, at least you have my contact.
The the verbiage I've used for this, because I've actually been using something, you know, that the reaching out and thinking in forms of contribution. I've been calling people and with some direction and basically asking for advice, how I should and who I should be talking to about this stuff. And then that's how you can kind of secretly put in the full introduction of everything you're doing in the form of an update. And it's not like, it doesn't like, you know, shock someone that they're being asked something and then they freeze up, you know, deer in the headlights. It's, you know, I'm looking for help. I need some advice. Is there any direction for here? This is what I'm doing. And then
Yeah,
their response is, because people love helping. I mean, even people who you don't have a good connection with will help you. And I've found success with that. So I agree 100%.
And be ready to reciprocate and be ready to show appreciation for what they did, right? So that might be, you know, a quick text back that says thank you, right? If you have success, if they say, oh, yeah, this might be a good place for you to drum up some business or people to talk to. If something comes out of that, send them a handwritten note, say thank you, do something to acknowledge them, right? People don't expect it, like people really do want to help because they want to help. And when you acknowledge your appreciation for that, you know, it goes a long way. So be ready for that. Thank you, Christopher. Eric, would you like to share?
Sure. The first one we kind of talked about, because I actually had authenticity written down before you even mentioned it. And my, you know, so my limiting belief, you know, is the lack of authenticity within the conversation. And so the yes statement would just be, you know, yes, and practice will make that go away. I mean, that's the reality of that. The other one, my other two are similar to what we kind of talked about as far as some of my thoughts on things. One was just, you know, it's a bad time for the other person. And so my response to that is yes. And if we plan ahead to make it a brief conversation or ask what's a better time, it will be less, you know, less of an imposition.
Yeah.
You know, we can always kick the can if need be. And then the last one was actually what we discussed is, you know, it's going to seem odd to have a call when 100% of your back and forth has been on Facebook or social media. And so I like what you said. And because for me personally, like I want to do things the way they work. I mean, I see the value. One of the people in one of the previous sessions mentioned, you know, the benefit of coming in as a new agent is we can take all the experience of everybody before me. Where the last person ended is where I begin. And so I'm a big believer in that. So you know, so when people are telling me like, this is what works, I want to do that. You know, I just naturally, you know, I want to follow in a successful model, but I appreciate you kind of, you know, not giving permission like I need permission, but giving permission as far as like, hey, you know, not, you know, it's okay that not everybody has to follow the exact letter of the law, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, so my response to is it's going to seem odd that, you know, giving a call to somebody who's only, you know, whose main communication has been on Facebook was yes, and I'll reach out to that person in a manner that makes sense. You know, that not everything has to be the end all be all, you know, phone call. Is that preferable? Yes. But are there people where you just not, you know, that's just not going to work? Yeah. And so, you know, so don't force it and just do what you got to do and, you know, and make that contact whatever way, you know, whatever way is comfortable and makes sense.
Make it work. Yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's, I think it was my third week in this role, I got to go with our OP to, it was OPs and team leaders from the top 200 market centers in the US. We got to go to a mastermind group with Gary Keller. And it was pretty amazing. It really was. And I think what I consistently heard, and then I heard a family reunion, and then, you know, these scripts and these processes are here for you. Like if you take the MREA book, and, you know, and you follow things that are in there, they're here for you because they work over and over and over and over again. They work, right? So it's that helping you become because you have to have some entrepreneurial spirit to go into this business, right? You've got to want to work for yourself and have your own business. But then how do you get purposeful in that process, right? So my humble advice here is these are tools that have been tried for decades. They work. Use them and make them yours in the process. Right? You have to let you shine through all of those. Right? That makes sense? Yes, Christopher.
I was hoping to just add something to your first one, Eric, on the authenticity one. It's something I agree with. You know, it's important for a call. It's important because it helps gain trust, you know, especially if you don't know somebody, because and then that's how you know, gain commitment and then kind of, you know, either book a meeting or move to the next step. The easiest way to be authentic is not trying to hide what your wants are out of the call. So if your goal is to receive contact information, to stay in contact, to book a meeting, make it clear that that's what you want to do, you know. So, you know, I want to gain your business, then you can speak more authentic. And your want is to help them. Your want is to have the conversation. And that's where the authenticity comes out, because you're going after what you want. And make sure that those things are good, you know, positive. I want to help you, coming from contribution, but it's that want is the authenticity is how I look at it.
And I appreciate you saying that. I'm glad you did, because it also triggered something from a previous session where one of the instructors kind of came through a role play, or a one-sided role play, and he approached it like you just said. So he said, hey, you know, I just want to reach out. This is what's going on. This is what I'm doing. You know, the purpose of my call is I wanted to try to see if we can blah, blah, blah. And then once he got that, then he pivoted and he's like, hey, while I got you, how's the family? So then you're doing it the opposite way. Instead of taking the forward, you know, to set the stage, you're setting the stage with what you want. You're ending with the forward to make it a more palatable, you know, make the entire conversation more palatable and more, you know, kind of like connected. So I appreciate you saying that, because I didn't remember that until you approach it that way. So I appreciate the feedback.
Great. Kevin, you want to share yours?
Sure. I hope I did this right. The person I'm calling won't want to hear from me, and I'm going to make them glad I called. The person I am calling doesn't need my help, and I'm going to make myself available if they do in the future. I won't know what to say, and I will do my best to listen for what they need.
Yeah. Those are awesome.
Thank
Well
you.
done, everyone. You know, we all have our limiting beliefs, right? They crop up even on things we know we've done over and over again, and then we go to do something and something comes in our mind that says, you know, you can't. It's the little itty bitty committee that says nasty things in between our two ears. that sometimes rears its ugly head. And that's when things come up that hold us back from being our magnificent selves, no matter what it is that we're doing, right? Whether it's showing up in personal relationships, whether it's, you know, in a sales call, or making those lead gen calls, whatever it is, right? So you'll have to find what tools you want to incorporate in your life when those things come up to help you kind of shift out of it, right? Find something, right? A friend of mine says, move a muscle, change a thought, right? So when she gets into that place with that little itty bitty, and usually I add the word that rhymes with itty bitty and starts with an S to name that committee in the head, starts talking, she'll go out and move a muscle, right? She'll take a walk, she'll stand up at her desk and, you know, walk down the hall, go talk to someone, right? Do something to shift that energy to someplace else and then regroup and come back. And when she does that, she can refocus. Keeping this sheet out, right? That's your, you know, your limiting beliefs, right? Keep a blank one out so that if you're going to go make a lead gen call and, you know, it's Wednesday and Monday and Tuesday did not go well, you're like, well, you know, just like Kevin said, no one wants to talk to me, right? You know, you're writing a yes and to that, right? So, you know, maybe no one wants to talk to me Monday and Tuesday, and I just haven't found the right person yet. The only way to do that is to keep calling, right? Yes, and I was still planting amazing seeds and having conversations. Remember, it's know the person too, right? These are people we're talking with. So we have to always keep that in mind. All right. Was this a helpful exercise?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's always good to voice things, to, you know, to be able to address them.
Okay. Any ahas?
It's interesting how through this exercise, the one we just did, the limitations actually became not something we reconciled with, but something that encourages me. So I'm not just making up for the limitation. Now I feel like emboldened, like, yeah, I am going to leave a good impression. So that's an interesting dynamic.
Thank you, Kevin. That's great. How has your thinking changed because of that exercise?
Well, I did it as you asked. What I wrote down my limitations is as I'm writing them down, they were really in my head, like somebody not wanting to hear from me, somebody not needing my help. So doing that first portion, they were right in front of me, like, yep, these are real. And then really forcing myself to think about it. At first, I started to write out the ands and the rest, and it sounded awkward, like just weird. But as I did them all and I read them, especially out loud to you, I'm like, these are really empowering. And these, I believe these myself. So the limitations themselves became just highlighting what I can do for people and what I'm capable of. So I wasn't expecting that, honestly. They would just seem like awkward sentences at first.
Yeah, saying yes, and really it gives us that opportunity to think differently, right? So Jack, any change thinking, ahas? How do you feel different after this?
I think it's really valuable, like we've already heard, to hear yourself voice whatever concerns you have and then deflect them right afterwards. And then hearing from others, I think, is equally, if not more valuable, because you get a lot of different perspectives and people bring up things that you know, may not have even crossed my mind yet, or things that I had like subconsciously thought about but didn't write down on the paper. So this was great.
Great, thank you. Eric, ahas, think differently, how you feel?
Well, you know, like Jack just said, I mean, it's good to get this stuff out of here and into, you know, here, to be able to just address them. I mean, you know, it's very easy to just throw, you know, put a limiting belief in your brain and never let it out. And it's just like any other emotion. It's just going to fester until you get it, until you verbalize it. So I appreciate the exercise for that. Just hearing people's ahas though, it's, I get something out of that as well. Something that I sat in on a bold a long time ago, like a couple years ago. I had the opportunity to do the first online bold, and one of the speakers one day said something that was reminiscent of what I think Christopher may have just said, or actually maybe Kevin. Sorry, but he said, like, he goes into conversations, appointments, etc., with the idea that if he doesn't get this client, or if he doesn't let them know that he's available, or if he isn't putting himself out there, he's doing a disservice to the client. I mean, in his mind, like, if I don't get this listing, they're the ones that are going to suffer, not me. And so his mindset is so for him, it's about help. How can I help them? Making sure they know I'm the guy that they're going to work with, and that nobody else is going to do it the way I am. And if I don't do that, I'm not helping them. In fact, I'm hurting them. And so that mindset, that helps. That like Kevin just said, that it gives you that encouragement to know that, okay, well, from the outside looking in, maybe it looks like an awkward conversation, but if you dissect what it really is that you're doing, if it's an awkward conversation or not, how are you going to help these people if you don't let them know that you can help these people?
Right.
And so it was good to hear that. I appreciate hearing everybody's ahas, and I get something from that.
Great. Christopher.
I wanted to add to what Eric just said. That reminds me of something that just happened this week, where there's been an advertisement for this empty space in this town I live in. So I reached out, and the reason for reaching out is, I've noticed that this sign has been, you're having trouble getting a tenant in here. I'm calling to help. So it's interesting to hear that, Eric. But one of the ahas I took from this was that switch from, because I used to always say to myself, but I don't know, which is kind of a double negative. It's not really, so that is what released whatever to pick up the phone and call, but I don't know. And then kind of like make a little bit of a fog and call into it and have the person I'm talking to clarify, and just by being able to ask questions. And this was in a previous role, but it's my job, it's a new thing to chew on in thought. So I appreciate that. And then it's helpful.
Wonderful. And I appreciate, each and every one of you for being candid about this, right? How often do you go into jobs or careers and like, okay, let's talk about your limiting beliefs, right? And we all have them, right? And they creep up, so, having tools to counter that is so important and critical, right? So that we are doing things that support us. Why don't we just take a 10-minute break here, and we'll get through the rest of this pretty quickly afterwards, but we'll take a quick break and then come back, okay? And thank you very much for sharing all that stuff with me. I really appreciate it.
I have another meeting at 11, so I might not be right back when it
Okay.
starts up, but I'll join it again.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'm back, by the way, but I am gonna leave my video off because I'm eating.
Okay. That is fine. When you're all back, just let me know. Wave a hand, say I'm back.
I'm also back, just so.
Okay. Thank you. All righty. So on page 5, I want to just talk through what's the questions are on here. And then we're going to get into some of the last few pages in here. But I think this is really important questions to ask, especially, we've talked a little bit about limiting beliefs and, how do we do use our scripts. So what do you think are the benefits of asking questions versus telling in a conversation? I'm just going to open this up for conversation. What are the benefits?
You uncover motivations.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you get everything you need. You're not going to get the tools that you need to help someone by telling them things. You're going to get the tools you need by listening to what they are trying to do and what they need.
Yeah. What else?
Generally, I feel like people just like talking about themselves too. So if you're not learning, even if you're not learning, which you will be, you're still like forming a better bond with them and letting them talk about themselves.
Right. Yeah. Because it's a relationship, right? What else?
Well, you can't help unless you know what you can't help unless you know what you're trying to help with.
Right.
So the sales or the listening part of sales is how the sales becomes effective.
Right. Right. What if everything I was telling them about me and KW wasn't important to them? Would I walk away with the deal? No. So, I mean, Eric said one of the reasons he came to KW was for the training. Right? That was really, really important for him. So if I was talking with Eric about coming over to KW, I'd want to get that piece of knowledge from him. Right? Jack's family's in construction, they build homes. So my conversation with Jack would be, how do we support you, right? How do we maybe get you involved in our new construction segment? Could you maybe chair some trainings on new construction? How do you build those relationships, right? How do you find out where there's opportunities for new constructions in your market center, right? For Chris, right, he said you have inside sales experience, right? So if I was talking with Chris, I would talk with, Christopher. I apologize. I have a brother-in-law, Chris, so. I would first remember that he likes Christopher, not Chris, and write it down. And then second, I would validate his experience with inside sales and then help him see how that can be converted to something that he's going to do person to person. So it's that listening to each one of you and your clients as you're talking to them to really figure out what's the important thing that you could talk about and show them why they should be going with you, right? It's important of conversations. So what are some of the things you can do in a conversation to show the other party that you are truly listening?
Mirroring back things that they've said.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know the term for it, but the in conversation feedback, or yep, I got you. These things.
Right, absolutely. Right. So some, some communication back so that they understand that it's sinking in, right? None of the head, whatever you're comfortable with, right? What else, Jack? What do you think? What else? Some things you can do a conversation to show that you're truly listening.
Well, I think some questions are better than others. So if you're asking questions that kind of build off of points they've made or things they've already said, that truly shows you're listening too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I did it with you with the last question, right? I did it with all three of you. Came back, went to something you each told me about and related it back to something that I do here in my role at Keller Williams, right? I recruit. So, all right, what was the important thing for each of you? Part of that is the terms are validating and reframing, right? So validate the importance of something and then reframe it in a language that you're comfortable with that actually tags as well why you're the right person to do that, right? So Eric, I really understand that, education is important to you. I understand that completely. You said that in your search, one of the things that you did was interview a lot of brokers to see what they can do for education. And our role here really is to support you in that and find a way to take all that education and put it in practice for you so you have a successful real estate career. Does that sound something that you'd like to explore further?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. What do you think is the hardest time to be quiet in a sales process?
I don't know if this is the right answer, but when the person you're talking to has the wrong perception of what you're talking about, I find is the hardest to.
That could be, yes, right. So somehow you want to reframe that and then not validate the misperception, but validate that they may have a concern with what they heard and how you want to show them what's different. Okay, right. So a good point, but not the right answer. So what do you think is the hardest time to be quiet?
When nobody's talking. If you ask, if there's a question, if you ask a question and maybe the other person's reluctant to speak or whatever, just leaving that dead awkward air out there until it starts, until the conversation, until that reply is made, as opposed to jumping in there and, stealing the conversation away again.
Eric is so close to the right answer. You are like hot potato close. All right, Jack, take it home. What do you think it is? No pressure.
I had a different one. I now that Eric said that, that would be my new guess, but I don't, the build off that is going to be, I don't know.
What was your original one?
My original one was just going to be like, during like an objection, if they're trying to explain why they might not want you, or they have some concern, like letting them hear them out before responding was going to be my original one.
Yes, and that is a good point too, right? So let them, if there's an objection, don't cut them off midstream. Hear the whole thing. Hear the whole thing. And if it's painful, hear the whole thing. Because at some point, they're either going to get to the real objection for not doing business with you, or why they think they don't want to, right? Because the first part is probably maybe not quite it, right? So let them talk it out, because at some point they're going to get to the crux of it, and then you can go back and do your yes and. Okay, so Christopher, Jack, yes, really, really important times to be quiet and listen, right? Because if I'm going to tell you things, it's probably not the first thing that comes out of my mouth that's the real issue. It's the third, fourth, fifth, or maybe 10th thing. that comes out. And Eric, yes, when there's dead air, our natural instinct is to fill it because it feels really uncomfortable. And the most uncomfortable air to fill is when you made the close and you're not getting a yes or no, and you want to jump in and start telling them again all the reasons why they should say yes. That's the most important time not to say a thing. It's more likely than not, if they're going to say no, they may just talk themselves right into saying yes. Right? So they might be saying, ah, but can I find a house if I sell mine? I've already told them that, so I'm just gonna be quiet. Right? Well, maybe if I don't sell now, if I wait, interest rates might go up. And then I can't buy the house I really want because my dollar's worth less. You can nod, you can acknowledge. You're not saying a damn thing. Right? But if I sell now, I can probably get top dollar for my house at an interest rate that's low enough so I could still afford the house that I want. And you said you have some kind of mortgage program or bridge thing that you could help me with, right, Kate? Yes. So sign and we can get going. So they end up answering their objections typically, or saying yes before you have to say anything else. And is that that'll be one of the most awkward silences until you're used to it. Any questions on that? Okay, thoughts? Limited belief about whether you can stay quiet enough and long enough till they say yes?
Yeah, I'll be the first to say that's going to be a challenge, but I completely understand the opportunity there.
Christopher, you say something?
In the book Art of Sales, it's defined as the golden silence.
Mhm.
And I actually say that in my head when I hear it. Instead of saying something, I'll just say golden silence. And then you just gotta wait.
I've been in awkward positions. So just full disclosure, have I had my real estate license in the past? Yes. Do I have it now? Yes. My career mostly has been in insurance sales, right? Big business insurance sales, property cat insurance sales. And I've been in a room with, presented to 10 decision makers, right? And I got to sit there with 10 people looking at me and be quiet. And part of you is knowing, oh God, could they really see that I'm sweating? Could they see that I've got my foot tapping under the table? I find your release for that energy, whatever it is, while you're doing it, to help you fill that gap, that silence gap. So how does your tone of voice and body language affect conversation?
It's everything. How you say things and what, I mean, that's almost more important than what you say, because one can completely diminish the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jack, what do you think about voice and body language?
I mean, I agree with Eric. It's if not equally as important as what you're saying. And I think depending on the situation, we have to change how we are, and depending on the person too, we have to change how our body language and our tone is based on the conversation.
Right. Absolutely.
It's really a skill to be able to adjust and react and all that.
Yeah. I can get loud. I talk with my hands. You're gonna see me even in Zoom. I'm talking with my hands, right? I like to do diagrams, and I like to hug, right? For a person, I say to you, can I hug you? I like to hug, right? And yet there's people that are like, whoa, do not hug me. All right, I gotta be able to, gotta read that, right? So if someone's backing off a little bit, I'm not gonna move in closer to them for that conversation. I'm gonna sit back a little bit, right? If I start talking really fast, which I can, and the person I'm talking to is very thoughtful, mindful, has a very different cadence to their conversation, I have to adjust mine. Like, we try not to be unnatural in it too, right? That's important, right? We gotta figure out how to adjust and be natural. But I had to be mindful of what's going on across the table from me, so I can kind of meet them where they are. Otherwise, that person that talks and thinks slower, right, is never going to catch up with me, is never going to be hearing what I'm saying, especially when I'm saying something really important, because they're back here still, they're still processing something. Okay. And I also have to be mindful, because I could be talking to you about point A, and in my mind, I've gone from B to C to D to E to F, and I might ask you a question about F. Right? Eric knows what I'm talking about, right? And you're gonna say, how did that happen? In my mind, it's very logical. It's very logical, right? But if I'm doing a presentation, I can't do that. Or if point F comes up, I think it's important, I'm gonna have to be able to slow my conversation down, take a breather, not get excited about it, explain to them why I might want to go off track a bit and bring it back to that topic, and then come back. But in a way that my tone of my voice, the energy, the pace of it, my language, my body language is all mirroring the best that I can to the person I'm talking to. Yeah, Eric knows what I mean. It's when you're going, right? And everyone's like a gazillion paces behind you, and you're like, didn't you just hear what I said? They're like, no. No. All right, really quick here. Getting your career on fire, contacts, conversations, handwritten notes, home previews. They're really important. All of these in the day of technology, anything you can do to put something handwritten in front of someone, please, 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 please do it. Please do it, please do it, please do it. This doesn't mean you're not using social media. This does not mean you're not using text or Scipio, or Jess will be impressed. I remember that name or something. If you don't know what Scipio is, ask Jess. But how to differentiate yourself, right? How do you differentiate? I went to go see a prospect about some new business to do with them, and my handwritten note was on their desk. I like to believe that did it, but at least it kept me in top of mind because it was on their desk. Your handwritten note might go on their desk if you're Christopher and the Market Center does a lot in commercial, or it's going to get with a magnet on the fridge, something, right? But do something to differentiate yourself. So we're gonna go through these. You guys have been doing scripts. This is like one of the first entries into script playing. We're gonna skip through that. I'm gonna give you 45 minutes left in your day, additional in your day, to do some lead gen or do something that's productive, that based on what we just learned. Okay. Put your contact information in the chat. Scan the QR code while we're on here, so you could do your daily checkpoint.
I wanted to,
And-
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Eric.
I was just gonna say, I wanted to get a little clarification from Chris. You know, he mentioned that he's on a commercial team. Do you do strictly commercial, or is that just your primary focus? I mean, do you do residential as well, or are you 100% both feet in commercial only?
So, I mean, commercial real estate's part of what we do. It's not even really the focus. It's business brokerage. So we help active businesses transfer ownership, whether someone's, trying to buy and become, a sole owner, or someone who's owned a business, who's built equity in it and is trying to exit, a guided handoff to a new owner. So it's
Okay.
business brokerage and then commercial real estate's part of it. But
Okay.
a lot of what we both do is exactly the same. I mean, the types of outreach, how you build relationships. So that's why Ignite's been helpful.
Well, and the main reason I ask is just for like referral purposes. If I have somebody out, that's moving from Boston to Maine and they need to buy a residential house, are you the person that I should be contacting, or that's out of your, it sounds like it's out of your scope.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if they had interest in purchasing a house, and they're working with Keller Williams, and they also wanted to, for example, own a convenience store or own, a marine business, I mean, anything,
Right.
we can help with that.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, since we're kind of feeling each other out, I'll throw my elevator pitch out there. I'm north of Boston, but I service the greater Boston area, and I'm willing to service Eastern Massachusetts. So if you have anybody moving south, please keep me in your Rolodex.
And I think that's a fun spin on things, Christopher. Right? So I've worked with a lot of folks in the M&A space, so it's kind of fun. All right, nuggets from the day, and then you're all sending you off. Jack, a nugget for the day. Kind of like an aha, but like a nugget.
I guess a good, I mean, this was a very different class, I feel like, because it was so small, but definitely very helpful because it's a smaller group. I feel like I learned a lot more in this class, and it wasn't even the full time. And I feel like I learned more in this class than any other, just from watching people and being able to talk so much. And I really appreciate it. It was really great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Eric?
Yeah, well, I agree with Jack. This was this is kind of a treat to get. I talk a lot, so I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I have my voice. Everybody's heard my voice in all the other fully, fleshed out Ignite sessions, but I do like the smaller setting. This is nice to have a lot more one-on-one input, and to hear more people. In the bigger things, a lot of times it's the same 3 or 4 voices. So it's nice to hear everybody contributing every time. And so I'm finding that very beneficial as well. As far as like my nugget, I don't want to repeat anything that we've already talked about, like ahas, but I really like this little 6-step memorization process that was one of the first things that you kind of talked about that you popped up on the screen. And I like that. I didn't think about it that way. I thought, the road to the road of scripts is through finding a partner and blah, blah, blah. But I like what I can do myself as well, on top of that. So I appreciate that being kind of out there.
Great. Thanks, Eric. Christopher?
Oh, I agree with Eric and Jack. I felt this session, and I mean, everything's been helpful. My nugget for today would be, I used to always look at going into a call in terms of overcoming objections. So, just adjusting that slightly to the disbeliefs on my side on, it's a little bit broader, and it's helped me kind of see a bigger picture and even look at my sphere differently. So I felt that was a good takeaway.
Great, great. Well, my takeaway for the class is that the 3 of you and Kevin are going to be knock out amazing in this business. So all four of you are very insightful, articulate. You can see the passion, the willingness to help. So I put my contact info in the chat. It's Kate Houlihan at kw.com, Houlihan. My last request for you is that you check in with me in 30 days. So at the end of April, put it on your calendar. I just want to hear how great you guys are doing. So quick check-in. And if there's anything I can do in the meantime to help, also feel free to reach out.
Thank you for your time. You know, it's not lost on me the amount of energy it takes for all of the instructors to put their time and efforts into, you know, into hosting a class. And so I appreciate you. I appreciate you on your end of the call as well.
Thank you. Thank you. And when we start, thank you. Thank you. When we started this call, we just had Kevin on. I was like, well, what are we doing? Right. And I'm also a firm believer that, you know, the right people show up at the right time, and the right people were on this call for this. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great career and a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
yourself.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye-bye.
I'm sorry, I'm helping Nicole with something. You need me? Okay.